I was having lunch with a female colleague when I saw my wife come in. "It's my wife! I have to hide," I whispered. "Don't be silly. Your wife can't possibly object to you having lunch with someone you work with," she said. "She can if she thinks I died in 1995. Wife walks into the kitchen and finds her husband walking around with a fly swatter. Wife: "What are you doing?" Husband: "Hunting flies." Wife: "Oh, caught any?" Husband: "Yep, 3 males, 2 females." Wife: "How on earth can you tell the difference?" Husband: "Easy. 3 were on a beer can, 2 were on the phone." A husband is walking behind his wife and says, "Your arse is getting so big. It looks like an old washing machine." The wife keeps quiet and carries on walking. Bedtime comes around and the husband starts feeling amorous. The wife says, "I'm not starting the old washing machine for such a small load. You'll have to do it by hand." George raises his beer mug in the air and says, "Here's to spending the rest of my life having sex with my wife." The bar is filled with whistles and claps, and the bartender even gives him a ribbon that says, "Best Toast of the Month." When George gets home, he shows his wife, Linda, the ribbon. "And what exactly was your award-winning toast?" she asks. George thinks for a while and says, "Here's to spending the rest of my life going to church with my wife." The next day, when George is at work, Linda is walking down the street when she runs into Ted, one of George's drinking buddies. "Your husband sure gave an awesome toast last night," says Ted. "I know," replies Linda, "and he told me about it. It kind of surprised me because almost every time he goes down there, he falls asleep. A few weeks ago, I had to pull him by the ear to get him to come." A man's walking home late at night when he sees a woman in the shadows. $20, she says. He's never been with a prostitute before, but he decides what the hell. They're going at it for a minute when all of a sudden a light flashes on them. It's a policeman. "What's going on here, people?" asks the officer. "I'm making love to my wife," the man answers indignantly. "Oh, I'm sorry," says the cop. "I didn't know." "Well," said the man, "to tell the truth, neither did I until you flashed that light on her face." An elderly couple was settling into bed after a long day when the old man suddenly let out a loud belch and chuckled, "That's 3 points for me." His wife, intrigued, turned to him and asked, "What do you mean?" With a playful grin, he replied, "It's Burp basketball." Not wanting to miss out on the fun, she waited a moment before letting out a hefty burp of her own and declared, "And that's a slam dunk. We're tied." After a brief silence, the old man responded with another impressive burp, announcing, 4-3. I'm in the lead." Determined to keep the game close, his wife followed suit with another loud burp and laughed, "Another dunk. Tie game." She then added a smaller burp, "And a free throw. I'm ahead 7-4. Feeling the competitive spirit rise, the old man knew he had to up his game. He took a deep breath, preparing to unleash his best shot, but miscalculated and let out an unexpected squeak. His wife raised an eyebrow and asked, "What was that?" With a sheepish smile, the old man sighed. "Looks like I just hit a technical foul. Time for a change of game." Daughter: "Dad, I got a flat tire. Can you help?" Me: "Did you call your boyfriend?" Daughter: "He didn't answer me." "Do you have a spare?" Daughter: "He didn't answer either." A man walks into a bar and orders a drink. Then he notices there are pieces of meat nailed to the ceiling of the bar, so he asks the barman what they are for. The barman replies, "If you can jump up and pull one of them down, you get free beer all night. If you fail, you have to pay the bar $100. The barman asks, "Do you want to have a go?" The man thinks about it for a minute before saying, "Nah, the stakes are too high." A young couple moved into a new neighborhood. The next morning, while having breakfast, the wife noticed their neighbor hanging laundry outside. That laundry doesn't look very clean, she remarked. She must not know how to wash properly. Maybe she needs better detergent. Her husband listened but said nothing. Day after day, whenever the neighbor hung out her wash, the wife made the same comments. Then, about a month later, she was surprised to see bright, clean clothes on the line. "Look," she said to her husband, "she finally learned how to wash correctly. I wonder who taught her." Her husband smiled and replied, "I got up early this morning and cleaned our windows." A young couple moved into a new neighborhood. The next morning, while having breakfast, the wife noticed their neighbor hanging laundry outside. "That laundry doesn't look very clean," she remarked. "She must not know how to wash properly. Maybe she needs better detergent." Her husband listened, but said nothing. Day after day, whenever the neighbor hung out her wash, the wife made the same comments. Then about a month later, she was surprised to see bright, clean clothes on the line. "Look," she said to her husband, "she finally learned how to wash correctly. I wonder who taught her." Her husband smiled and replied, "I got up early this morning and cleaned our windows." A ventriloquist is performing with his dummy on his lap. He's telling a dumb blonde joke when a young, platinum-haired beauty jumps to her feet. "What gives you the right to stereotype blondes that way?" she demands. "What does hair color have to do with my worth as a human being?" Flustered, the ventriloquist begins to stammer out an apology. She yells, "You keep out of this! I'm talking to that little bloke on your knee!" "My fiancé makes more money than me." Some find making less money than their partner emasculating, but I really don't. I still wear the pants in my relationship. I just need her to buy them for me. A young woman walked into a downtown bank one morning. "I'd like to borrow $100 for 1 month, she said politely. The banker blinked. "Just 100? "Yes. Is that a problem?" He checked her records. Nothing on file. "Well, without a credit history, we'd need 20% interest, and you'll have to leave something valuable as collateral." She thought for a moment. "Will my Ferrari do?" The banker nearly fell off his chair. But sure enough, the paperwork checked out. She owned it outright. So he processed the loan, parked her Ferrari in the bank's secure garage, and handed her $100 in cash. 30 days later, she returned. Smiling, she slid $120 across the counter. "Thank you. I'll take my keys back now." As she turned to leave, the banker couldn't resist. "Miss, why would you leave a $140,000 car here for such a tiny loan?" She winked. "Because in New York City, I just found the safest parking spot for my Ferrari. 1 month for $20. Teacher: "Johnny, sweetheart, why do you look so sad today?" Johnny, looking gloomy: "My mom's at the hospital and my dad's at the police station." Teacher, concerned: "Oh no, that's awful. Would you like to go home early?" Johnny: "Yes, please." After he leaves, the teacher looks at the class and asks softly, "Does anyone know what happened to Johnny's parents?" A classmate casually replies, "Yeah, his mom's a nurse and his dad's a cop. They're just at work." A taxi passenger tapped the driver on the shoulder to ask him a question. The driver screamed, lost control of the car, nearly hit a bus, went up on the footpath, and stopped inches from a shop window. For a second, everything was quiet in the cab. Then the driver said, "Look, mate, don't ever do that again. You scared the living daylights out of me." The passenger apologized and said, "I didn't realize that a little tap would scare you so much." The driver replied, "Sorry, it's not really your fault. Today is my first day as a cab driver. I've been driving a funeral van for the last 25 years. Two old men are sitting shooting the breeze, and one says he has a riddle for the other. What's green, hangs on the wall, and whistles? The second man thinks long and hard and finally admits that he is stumped and asks for the answer, to which the first man replies, "A herring. But a herring isn't green, so you paint it green, and a herring doesn't hang on the wall. So you hang it on the wall. A herring does not whistle." 2 out of 3 ain't bad. A man walks into a cafe and says, "Can I have a full breakfast, but cooked my way?" "Sure," says the server. "I want bacon so burnt it's like black coal, sausages so rubbery you could bounce them off the floor, scrambled eggs full of shell like egg praline, and tomatoes, mushrooms, and beans are so overcooked they taste like greasy slime." The server frowns. "That's ridiculous. You think I've got time to do all that?" The man shrugs. "You had time yesterday." A farmer stopped by the local mechanic to get his truck fixed. Since it would take a while, he decided to walk home. On the way, he dropped into the hardware store for a bucket and a gallon of paint. Then he swung by the feed store and bought 2 chickens and a goose. By the time he stepped outside, he realized he had a problem. How in the world was he going to carry everything? As he stood there scratching his head, a sweet little old lady approached and said she was lost. "Can you tell me how to get to 1603 Mockingbird Lane?" she asked. The farmer replied, "Well, I live near there. I'd walk you over, but as you can see, my hands are kind of full." The old lady smiled and said, "Simple. Put the paint in the bucket, carry the bucket in one hand, tuck a chicken under each arm, and hold the goose in your other hand." "Why, thank you kindly," the farmer said, and off they went together. After a bit, the farmer said, "Let's take a shortcut through this alley. We'll get there quicker." The lady stopped, looked him up and down, and said cautiously, "I'm just a lonely widow. How do I know you won't corner me in that alley and take advantage of me?" The farmer, shocked, replied, "Good heavens, lady! I'm carrying a bucket, a gallon of paint, 2 chickens, and a goose. How could I possibly do something like that?" The little old lady grinned and answered, "Set the goose down. Cover it with the bucket. Put the paint can on top, and I'll hold the chickens. I will swear." A man calls his wife and says, "Honey, I've been invited to go fishing out of town with my boss for a week. It's a great opportunity for a promotion. Can you pack enough clothes for a week, set out my fishing rod and tackle box, and don't forget my new blue silk pajamas?" The wife feels something's off, but being a supportive partner, she goes along with his request and packs everything he needs. A week later, the husband comes home, looking a bit tired but happy with his catch. As soon as he walks in, his wife bombards him with questions about the trip, how it went, what he caught, and so on. He replies, "I caught tons of salmon, bluegill, and even a few swordfish." "But why didn't you pack my blue silk pajamas?" The wife smirks and says, "I did. They were in your fishing box." "I called my parents the other day. Just a regular check-in. But instead of my mom picking up, I got this wild voicemail. Hello, you've reached the grandparents' command center. We're either not home or pretending not to be. Please listen carefully. Our patience has limits." The message continued. "If you're one of our children and need something, press 1 to be sorted by birth order. Need babysitting? Press 2. Want to borrow the car? Press 3. Laundry or ironing? Press 4. Dropping off the grandkids overnight? Press 5. School pickups? Press 6. Sunday dinner or food delivery? Press 7. Planning to eat here? Press 8. Need money? Press 9. Then it said, "But if you're calling to invite us out to dinner, a movie, or anywhere fun, please stay on the line. We are very available." Beep. Then my mom's voice whispered sweetly, "Just kidding. Kinda. Leave a message." It's been 3 days. I still haven't left a message. I'm trying to think of something that doesn't land me in options 1 through 9. A powerful emperor sought to hire a new chief samurai. Only 3 warriors came forward: a Japanese samurai, a Chinese samurai, and a Jewish samurai. "First samurai, show me your skills," commanded the emperor. The Japanese samurai stepped forward, opened a tiny box, and released a fly. In a flash, he unsheathed his sword, and with a swift motion, swish! The fly dropped to the floor, perfectly sliced in two. The emperor clapped. Impressive. Now, samurai number 2, your turn. The Chinese samurai confidently approached, opened his box, and let out another fly. With 2 quick strikes, swish, swish, the fly fell to the ground in 4 precise pieces. Amazing! Exclaimed the emperor. Now, samurai number 3, show me your skills. The Jewish samurai stepped up, opened his tiny box, and released a fly. With a grand flourish, he swung his sword in a mighty swoosh, creating a gust of wind that blew through the room. But the fly kept buzzing around, unharmed. Confused, the emperor asked, "What kind of skill is that? The fly is still alive." With a shrug, the Jewish samurai smiled and said, "Alive, sure, but trust me, now that fly won't be having any more kids." The cleaning lady approaches the bank manager with a calm smile. "Could you please give me the key to the safe vault?" The manager stares at her, utterly baffled. "What? Why on earth would you need that?" She shrugs casually. "Well, it's always such a hassle having to use my hairpin just to clean it properly." A man walks into a Kraft chocolate shop and asks, "Can you make a chocolate model car for me?" The chocolatier smiles. "Of course, no problem. Could it look like the VW Beetle my dad used to drive?" "Great idea. I can definitely do that," the chocolatier replies. "And could you make it so the chocolate doors open with detailed interiors, just like a plastic model car? Oh, and the bonnet and trunk should open too." The chocolatier pauses, considering. "That'll take some planning, but I think I can make it happen. And I'd love it if the wheels could roll, and when you turn the steering wheel, the wheels turn too." The chocolatier raises an eyebrow. "That's pretty tricky in chocolate. I'll need to experiment a bit, but I'm up for the challenge." "One last thing," the man adds. "Can you make the chocolate windows move up and down when you turn the handles?" The chocolatier laughs in disbelief. "This is insane! But give me 3 weeks and I'll see what I can do." 3 weeks later, the man returns, and sure enough, there's a stunning chocolate VW Beetle on display. The chocolatier beams as he shows off every detail, working doors, moving windows, turning wheels, and more. After the demonstration, he asks proudly, "Shall I box it up for you?" The man grins. "No need, I'll eat it right here." One day, a 5-year-old girl went to visit her grandmother. As she played with her dolls, Grandma was busy dusting the furniture. After a while, the little girl looked up and asked, "Grandma, how come you don't have a boyfriend?" Grandma smiled and said, "Sweetheart, my TV is my boyfriend. I can sit in my bedroom and watch it all day long. The TV evangelists keep me company, and they make me feel so good. The comedies make me laugh. I'm perfectly happy with my TV as my boyfriend." Later, Grandma turned on the TV, but the picture was fuzzy. She tried adjusting the knobs to fix it, but when that didn't work, she tapped the back of the TV in frustration, hoping it would clear up. Just then, the doorbell rang. The little girl ran to answer it, and standing there was Grandma's minister. "Hello, young lady, is your grandma home?" the minister asked kindly. The little girl nodded and replied, "Yeah, she's in the bedroom trying to fix her boyfriend." A woman in her 60s rushed into the emergency room, clearly agitated and in distress. She was seen by a young, inexperienced doctor who, after a brief examination lasting only a few minutes, delivered shocking news. She was pregnant. The woman, overwhelmed by disbelief, bolted out of the examination room and sprinted down the corridor, her screams echoing through the halls. An older, seasoned doctor noticed her frantic state and stopped her. "What's wrong?" he asked, concern etched on his face. After listening to her tumultuous story, he guided her to a quiet room to help her calm down. The older doctor, now fueled with protective instinct, strode down the hallway to confront the new doctor. "What were you thinking?" he demanded, his voice firm. "This woman is 63 years old. She has 2 grown children and several grandchildren. How could you possibly tell her she's pregnant?" Without looking up from his clipboard, the young doctor continued his notes and replied nonchalantly, "Does she still have the hiccups?" One day, the wife comes home flaunting a dazzling diamond ring. "Where did you get that?" her husband asks, curious. "Oh," she replies, "my boss and I played the lottery, and we won. So, I bought it with my share of the winnings." A week later, she walks in wearing a luxurious, shimmering fur coat. "Where did you get that coat?" her husband asks again. "Well, we won the lottery again, so I used my share to buy it," she says, smiling. Another week passes, and she drives up in a sleek, fire-red Ferrari. You guessed it, more lottery winnings. That evening, she asks her husband to draw her a nice warm bath while she gets ready. When she steps into the bathroom, she finds the tub barely filled, just enough to cover the drain plug. "What on earth is this?" she asks, confused. Her husband looks up and says, "Well, we wouldn't want to get your lottery ticket wet, now would we?" A blonde guy walks into a bar, very down on himself. As he walks up to the bar, the bartender asks, "What's the matter?" The blonde guy replies, "Well, I've got these 2 horses, Sniff, Sniff, and well, I can't tell them apart. I don't know if I'm mixing up riding times or even feeding them the right foods." The bartender, feeling sorry for the guy, tries to think of something he can do. "Why don't you try shaving the tail of one of the horses?" The man stops crying and says, "That sounds like a good idea. I think I'll try it." A few months later, he comes back to the bar in worse condition than he was before. "What's the matter now?" the bartender asks. The blonde guy, in no condition to be in public, answers, "I shaved the tail of one of the horses, sob, sob, but it grew back and I can't tell them apart again." The bartender, now just wanting him to shut up or leave, says, "Why don't you try shaving the mane? Maybe that will not grow back." He stops crying, has a few drinks, and leaves. A few months later, the guy is back in the bar. The bartender has never seen anybody in this sorry of a state. Without the bartender even asking, the fellow breaks into his problems. I shaved the sob mane of one of the sniff horses, and it grew back." The bartender, now furious at the guy's general stupidity, yells, "For crying out loud, just measure the stupid horses. Perhaps one is slightly taller than the other one." The guy cannot believe what the bartender has said and storms out of the bar. The next day, the blonde guy comes running back into the bar as if he had just won the lottery. It worked, he exclaims. "I measured the horses, and the black one is 2 inches taller than the white one."